Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today is November 21st, and right now we are looking at the GOES 18 satellite imagery, and you might wonder why it's all dark here. Well, what we're showing is the dust. It's capable of picking up blowing dust, so watch this as we go through yesterday. You can see some of that blowing dust moving across the desert areas out over Southern California. You can see even out emerging out over the ocean there. So interesting stuff there. The GOES 18 satellite imagery can pick up that blowing dust. Great tool to have at our disposal there. Very nice. And just a thanks to everybody out there. We're getting up towards 13,000 subscribers here, so I just wanted to extend some appreciation from everybody who comes back to check daily. And now, taking a look at the windy app, you can still see we still have these strong winds ongoing, but it should not be as intense as it was yesterday. We had some pretty intense gusts across the higher terrain, and we're going to look at that here in a moment. We can kind of see how the Los Angeles metro here is shielded from a lot of these winds, and the higher terrain really gets the brunt of this. In some areas, even out towards the coastal areas in certain regions, get some of these strong winds also. And you can still see the winds are going pretty good across some of the Southern California mountains, all the way down into Baja also. And look at some of these wind gusts yesterday. This is the Magic Mountain area up here. And look at this, 130 miles per hour. A lot of areas gusted up over 60, 70, 80 plus here as well. And this went all the way down across some of the mountains just outside of San Diego. It's a huge gust incoming up over 70 miles per hour as well. And look at the Magic Mountain Truck Trail here. So we were gusting to 130 yesterday with sustained winds at 83 miles per hour at times. Just incredible winds there. And then look at the anemometer. Looks like it just failed. And it doesn't look like the power went out here, but the anemometer just broke. So yeah, pretty intense winds. It looks like it probably couldn't take it any longer and just completely failed. Interesting stuff. This is Mount Diablo here, the Bay Area, 76 miles per hour. Mount Tom, 65. Yeah, interesting stuff out here. Leak Spring Hill, 62 miles per hour. So especially the higher terrain, getting some nice gusts across Central and California and the Bay Area as well. And if you want a nice affordable home weather station to record the weather you get at your place of residence, click on that link down below to save 10% off. This thing has a lightning detection system, and this is all can be viewed on the smartphone, or you can view it on your desktop app as well. Stores all the data for you in the cloud. Highly recommended. Now, this day in SoCal weather history, you can see 2004, a powerful winter storm came across the region here. Periods of thunderstorm. Look, they even built a snowman out there. So interesting stuff. Look at snow levels fell to 1,000 feet, up to 3 inches of snow in some of the lower elevations there with strong winds, numerous downed trees, and power lines as well. So yeah, interesting stuff. It can happen this time of year. Windblown dust advisory. So, a lot of dust was raised in these very strong winds. So, just going to keep that in the back of your mind. If you're thinking about jogging maybe today, maybe wait a couple of days before you go outside and start exercising here, because, a lot of that dust gets in your lungs. Not a good thing. You can see the advisory sort of remain indoors, keep your windows and doors closed, avoid physical activity maybe for the next day or two. And the current hazard's still ongoing with the wind advisory, and high wind warnings are still in effect as of right now. But again, this will be calming down as we go through here Tuesday afternoon, and eventually we're going to stop the offshore flows that go through the day Wednesday and even start to kick it back onshore when we go into Thursday. Now, taking a look at what drove those Santa Ana winds, you can see this huge dome of high pressure here, and this of course wants to spread out towards the lower pressure, and it comes through the gaps and canyons over the higher terrain pretty intensely, as we saw yesterday. And as I put this into motion, you can see that high pressure system kind of wane and eventually slide a bit to the southeast here, and then just kind of kick out of the region. And then we start to bring some more high pressure across some of the northern states here. But you can see we don't have that big pressure gradient coming up here as far as the offshore flow, but we're going to start to kick some onshore flow as we go on in through the day Thursday. More on that here in a moment. Now looking at 850 millibars. This is 5,000 feet. And you can see, again, offshore winds as we go through the day today, not as strong as yesterday. Still going on across some of the higher terrain of Baja and places like the mountain ranges there, the Sierra Madre there down in Mexico. But as we continue on into Wednesday, you can see that gradient really start to relax, and then we're going to dig a trough down across the area. So it can bring much precipitation with it, but it's going to bring some gusty onshore winds. You can see the reversal of the direction there across some of Southern California, and the north wind starting here down across Northern California. And look at some of these gusty winds actually approaching with this one here too, across some of the Siskiyous and some of the coastal ranges here. A strong north wind will be emerging, and we'll take a closer look at this tomorrow and see just what kind of wind speeds we're going to get out of this. Now looking at Los Angeles, you see the bump in temperatures here Tuesday and Wednesday before we drop down towards normal, even a little bit below actually as you go through this weekend. Pretty chilly air mass kind of settling over the region as well. Phoenix, you can see it down into the 60s. You might see some people with jackets on out there when you get some highs only into the mid and upper 60s there. And you can see the red line, the average temperature this time of year dropping down into the upper 60s once you get into early portion of December. Look at Las Vegas. Check it out. If you're headed out there this weekend, heads up, you're going to need a coat out there because look at the high on Sunday, only 52 degrees for Las Vegas. It's usually up into the lower 60s and then dropping down into the 50s by the time you get to early December, but heads up for that. Chilly temperatures incoming. Sacramento, you can see maybe 70 degrees on Thursday, then dropping back down, hovering around normal here as we go through the extended forecast. Now, looking at the GFS, this is hot off the presses. I have actually not looked at this yet. Let me update this to make sure it has all the information because it's running as I speak here. Put this into motion, and you can see that big ridge of high pressure that drove the Santa Ana winds, but then look at the trough, and this is going to kick some winds of its own up as well. Some strong northwest winds and some westerly winds across the higher terrain with that feature there. And then we start to look a little bit interesting as we get towards the extended. And this only goes out 135 hours. So what I'm going to do is we're going to back out to the 06Z run, and we're going to go from there. And we're going to look at this and see that we have some of this troughing setting up off the coastline here. And this could bring some interesting weather here as we go towards the end of November on into early December here for California. As you see at 18,000 feet, nice trough setting up here, and potentially multiple systems as we go through early December. Maybe return of the storm train here. How much of it will include California? Where exactly will it set up? This is what we'll be watching over the next few days. And taking a look at the GFS, the 12Z, let's actually back that up so we have all the most recent data here. This is the 06Z. So let me just update that. Actually, let's play out the 12Z and let's see what it does here, because the deterministic run should have more information on it versus the ensemble, which runs a little bit later. But you can see we do have the system kind of moved out of the northwest. This front is decaying rapidly. Might bring some light precipitation in Northern California. You can kind of see this Arctic high there, bringing some snowfall across some of the Intermountain West there. Not much precipitation at all for California. Maybe a bit here for the higher terrain of northern Arizona there. But as we go on in through the weekend here, now we're watching to see when that storm train starts to return. Let's see what the 12Z run shows. My first time looking at it. That's kind of an interesting storm that the GFS has been showing off and on here. You can see this pretty strong low pressure system drop all the way down off the California coastline. And look at some of these bands of precipitation that would be included with that storm back into California. This is fantasy land as of now, but the GFS has been pretty bullish on this system approaching California as we go towards the early portion of December. So this is something we're going to be watching here over the next few days and see if we can get some model agreement between the European and the GFS. Just fantasy right now, but something we're definitely going to be watching. And this is 6 to 10 day. This goes through the end of November here. So this is probably going to be changing over the next few days, especially if the GFS keeps showing that storm system here. This is going to change as we start looking at things over the next couple of days. They'll start probably bringing some actually above average precipitation here as this looks a bit out more into the future there. So anyway, yeah, GOES 18 satellite imagery there kind of shows that blowing dust. Kind of interesting tools there with the GOES 18 satellite imagery. You can really see some great detail. You can see individual forest fires out there as well. As I've shown you before, Lake Tulare is right about here as well. I think that's actually what you can see right there also. So yeah, GOES 18. I always love watching this every single day. But anyway, yeah, channel's doing great, you guys. Just wanted to give thanks to everybody out there. And if you want to support the channel, you can click on that join button down below as well. But make sure to click like and subscribe if you're liking these videos. And thanks to everybody that comes back and checks daily. Yeah, we'll do this again tomorrow. Some interesting stuff in the extended forecast. So looking forward to that. And I will talk to you guys then.